Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be looking at our playoff predictions. Now this is all culminating. We did 8 videos, one per each division, predicting every single team's record, their entire schedule. You can take a look. These are the records I have for every single team. This is the projected playoff seeding based off of these records, and just it's a cool website, playoff predictors. If you want to make these predictions, go over there, check them out. You can do them over there. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video if you enjoyed, turn on the noties. Not only do we do NFL, we're doing college football, college basketball, NBA, and MLB. So if any of that interests you, make sure you go on there, subscribe, and links in the description. As always, X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Make sure you follow those, join those. With all that being said, though, we're going to make our playoff predictions based off of my regular season predictions and see who I believe can and will win the Super Bowl this year. So let's just go right into these predictions. So starting off here with the 5-4 game in the AFC. So the Dolphins will get this one at home, which I think is a pretty big factor here. Tua, they won't have to play in the cold in Cincinnati. It'll be nice and warm for them there in Miami, which obviously is a huge factor. The Dolphins tend to fall off near the end of the season just because of the weather. They just can't play in cold temperatures. I don't know what it is. Still got a loaded offense. Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert. But in the playoffs, it tends to lean more how good is your quarterback and how good is your defense, not so much, the skill positions. It's mostly quarterback. I feel like when looking at this game, Joe Burrow is the better quarterback here. I think that's clear. I think the wide receiver cores are comparable. I think the Dolphins may have a slight edge, but I feel like defensively the Bengals are better. I just trust them to get it done in the playoffs. So I am going to take the Bengals here to win this game. I feel like just coaching-wise, I trust Zach Taylor a little bit more than Mike McDaniels. And I feel like the Bengals are in for kind of a comeback season. Last year they missed the playoffs just because Joe Burrow was out the whole year. I feel like they're in for a comeback type of year, a bounce-back season. So I do think they'll beat the Dolphins here in the wild card round. But moving on to our 3-6 game in the AFC, the Texans taking on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers versus C.J. Stroud. This would be a great game. The Texans' high-powered offense taking on the Jets' high-powered defense. This is definitely an interesting game. I've been back and forth on who I think would win this game. And this might be one of the tougher wild card games to pick, honestly. It's I don't know. It's just these two teams feel like so even here. It's C.J. Stroud's in his second year. Aaron Rodgers has been here for a while. I think C.J. Stroud gets it done at home. I think they win in the wild card round. They won a playoff game last year. They were close with the Ravens in the divisional round. I don't know. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is running out of gas at this point in the season. The Texans still going strong. I just believe they're the better team here. They get it at home. Yes, they're young, but they have Joe Mixon now. They bring in Diggs. I mean, yes, the Jets' defense is solid, but the Texans' offense is one of the best in the league. I just feel like C.J. Stroud really solidifies himself as like a top 5, maybe top 3 QB in the league at this point with the win over Aaron Rodgers at home. I think they get it done, and I think they move on. The 2-7 game, Lamar Jackson taking on Josh Allen. These are a whole lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC. Yeah, this one's not as tough for me. The Ravens get it at home. I like their defense. I like their offense better. I'm going to take the Ravens here. I feel like the Ravens are arguably the best team in the AFC, maybe even the best team in the NFL. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I feel like the Ravens, man, they had an amazing season last year. They came short in the playoffs. I just feel like they're on a revenge tour, I guess, this season. Lamar Jackson, he won the MVP last year. They bring in Derrick Henry now. Zay Flowers going into his second year. The defense is still going to be one of the best in the league, if not the best. So I do think they will beat the Bills just because the Bills' lack of receivers, I feel like, hurts them here. Josh Allen can't do everything himself. But moving over to the NFC, We got the 4 versus 5 game. The Falcons taking on the Eagles, and this one's definitely interesting to me because I could see this one going either way. I am pretty high on the Falcons. I'm going 11-6, winning their division. They also get it at home, which I think is a pretty big factor here. I feel like the Eagles' defense does concern me a little bit. You know, they're not a crazy good defense anymore. The secondary definitely has some issues. I'm interested to see how Drake London and Kyle Pitts look here in this game. It's hard to go against the Eagles' offense, though. I am going to take the Eagles. You know, they have Saquon Barkley now, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. Still got Dallas Goedert. I mean, this team is still just loaded, still just stacked. I feel like the Eagles would get it done. You know, hopefully they don't collapse like they did at the end of last year. And yeah, I think they would beat the Falcons. It's tough to trust Kirk Cousins in the playoffs. You know, I know he's. I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. I just trust them a little bit more here. They've been there before. This Falcons core is still kind of new with each other. I know they'll have a whole season under their belt, but you know what I mean. Rams Lions. I don't know why they just always find a way to play. They're playing week 1 this year, Sunday Night Football. They played last year in the wild card game. The Lions won in a very close game. I don't know what it is. These two teams just always find a way to match up against each other here. It's the same exact seeding from last year too, 3 versus 6. A lot of people took the Rams last year. I'm gonna take the Lions again. I just feel like at home, you know, the Lions are the younger team here. I feel like the Rams just, you know, they have some young guys too. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. But I mean, Stafford's experience, which will help. Same with Cooper Kupp. But I feel like the difference here is the defense for the Rams. I just don't like this Rams defense, if I'm being honest. I feel like 11-6 is probably their ceiling, so I may be being a little bit generous with them. I could definitely see them going 10-7, maybe even 9-8, 8-9. Just because losing Aaron Donald's a huge loss, and defensively they don't have that many guys there. I don't know. I trust the Lions as a complete team more. I just think overall they're better. I feel like offensively they'll have no troubles here, and I feel like they'll be able to get enough stops on defense to win this game. They also get it at home, which is huge. So I'm going to take the Lions to move on. And then we get this game again. We also saw this last year. The Packers taking on the Cowboys. Jordan Love going up against Dak. Once again, and the Packers blew him out last year on the road. Jordan Love is, you know, he's a young guy. He started pretty much all of last year. He's gonna start all of this season. They still got a lot of question marks in the receiving room. You know, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed, who's really the number one guy there. But they bring in Josh Jacobs, which I think will help the offense overall. I think defensively they're still very good, led by Jair Alexander. For the Cowboys, man, they have one of the best defenses in the league. Trayvon Diggs, Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is one of the best players in the league. Offensively, they lose Tony Pollard. I don't know how much of a loss that really is, but I mean, still got Jake Ferguson. CeeDee Lamb's one of the best receivers in the league. They still have Ezekiel Elliott. They bring in Dalvin Cook. This one's 50-50 for me. I hate doing this because I don't know why I do this every single year. I'm going to take... Actually, no. I'm going to take the Packers again. I was going to take the Cowboys. Yes, I like their defense, but I don't know what it is. In the playoffs, they can't get it done. I was going to take the Cowboys, but I just switched this up on the fly. I'm going to take the Packers here to win this game. I don't know why. The Cowboys can't get it on the playoffs, so. But moving on to the divisional round. Looking at the AFC here, we get a rematch from last year, Ravens versus Texans, and man, this would be a great game to see again. Lamar taking on C.J. Stroud. Last year, the Texans couldn't really get over the hump with the Ravens. They just couldn't score enough. The defense was just too dominant. I feel like, to be honest, it's a similar type game. I mean, The Ravens, I feel like, are just the more complete team. Offensively, I feel like they're similar. Defensively, though, you got to give a pretty solid edge to the Ravens. And in the playoffs, like I said, defense matters a whole lot more. I think the Ravens get this one done at home and move on to the AFC Championship. The Chiefs, coming off the bye, have a home game in Arrowhead against the Bengals. The Bengals always give the Chiefs problems, whether it's in the regular season or the postseason. And I'm not gonna lie, I could see this happening. I could see this happening. The Chiefs, there's no way. I mean, there is a way, but man, a three-peat, 3 in a row in the NFL is just unheard of. It's ridiculous. The fact that they have a real chance to get that this year is crazy. So I gotta go with the Bengals. I'm sorry, Chiefs fans. I know you're not gonna like to hear this. It's just so hard for me to think that they can win 3 in a row. There's no way. I feel like if this matchup happened, the Bengals have the best chance to beat them. They just always give them problems. I think the Bengals get it done over the Chiefs. But moving over to the NFC, got a little bit more chaos over here. The Lions taking on the Eagles. Definitely an interesting game here. And honestly, I don't know who I'd take. Jared Goff versus Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown versus A.J. Brown, receiver battle. Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. Both teams have some of the best O-lines in the league. The Lions probably have the best O-line in the league. The Eagles definitely at least top 7-ish, top 5. This would be a great game. The Lions get it at home. Both these teams, I feel like, have similar defenses just based on how good they are. I'm going to take the Eagles just because I don't think that they have the collapse that they did at the end of last year. I mean, the Eagles were the best team in the league record-wise for a good 10, 11 weeks last year, 12 weeks, 13 weeks even. But their last 5, 6 weeks, they just collapsed. I don't know what happened. I don't think that happens this year. I just feel like they're consistent the whole season. I think they get it done over the Lions. I think they go on to the NFC Championship. Give me the Eagles. And then the other NFC game, we get another rematch of the divisional round from last year, the Niners versus Packers. And I'm sorry, Jordan Love. I'm honestly surprised I picked the Cowboys, or them to beat the Cowboys again. But I do think the Niners get it done at home. They're just too stacked at every position, so I got to go with the Niners here. But moving on to the conference championship games, looking at the AFC, we get an AFC North matchup here. The Ravens at home taking on the 5-seed Bengals. This would definitely be a sight to see. 12-5 versus 11-6, according to my predictions. And yeah, I would love to see this game. Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow. Like I said, I feel like the Bengals are playing a little bit of a comeback season story. I feel like the Ravens are also playing a little bit of a revenge tour. Like I said, I mean, I feel like the people are just forgetting. The Ravens won, what did they win? They won 14 games last year. And I honestly think they got better. I mean, the defense didn't get worse. If anything, it stayed the same. Offensively, definitely didn't get worse. If anything, it gets better as well. Mark Andrews still there. Lamar Jackson's still going to be a top 3 QB in the league. They bring in Derrick Henry now. Zay Flowers is going into his second year. He's only going to get better. I don't know. I feel like the Ravens, as good as they were last year, I feel like they got better. So I am going to take the Ravens here to go to the Super Bowl. And the team that I think they will match up against in the Super Bowl is going to be the Niners. I don't think that's any surprise. I feel like the Niners are the obvious pick out of the NFC. I mean, you look at this team. This is the team that clearly I think is the best team in the NFC. They're the team I'm most confident in. So I got to go with the Niners here when looking at every position, man. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, CMC, George Kittle, one of the best O-lines in the league. They have Brock Purdy, one of the best defenses in the league as a whole. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, you could do this all day. The Niners just have a complete team. I feel like at home against the Eagles, the Eagles' defense, I just don't feel like is good enough to take them to a Super Bowl as of right now. So I'm going to take the Niners here to win this game. But moving on to our Super Bowl. The 2-seeded Ravens taking on the Niners. and this would be a hell of a game. I thought this was my prediction last year for the Super Bowl. It didn't end up happening. I do think it happens this year. This would be a great game. Both the top tier defenses taking on top tier offenses, just top tier teams in general. But ultimately, the team that I do think wins the Super Bowl, I am going to go with the Niners. They came up just short last year. Who knows if Jerry Greenlaw doesn't get injured, what happens? I'm not saying they would have won, but definitely would have been a different game. He was one of the best linebackers in the league last year. Yeah, I just feel like it's the Niners' year, man. They got to do it this year. There's no way the Chiefs repeat or three-peat. I mean, the NFC's wide open. I feel like the Niners just clear the entire NFC now. In the AFC, the Chiefs and the Ravens definitely are still there. You got some teams like the Bengals and the Texans there as well. Um, I just feel like it's the Niners' year, man. I just do. In all honesty, I believe the Niners will win the Super Bowl this year over the Ravens, and yeah, I think the Niners are your Super Bowl champs. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you agree, disagree. Here's one last look here at my standing predictions. If you missed any of those videos, make sure you go check those out. Yesterday we did Week 1 game predictions. Make sure you check those out. And then Tuesday we did college football. If you're interested in that, we did a top 25 video. Check all those out. Tomorrow we may or may not have an MLB video. I'm not sure yet. But check all those videos out. They'll be popping up now. Links in the description as always. X, Twitch, TikTok, Discord. Join all those. Follow all those. With all that being said, though, hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you guys tomorrow maybe with an MLB video.